You guys have fully engaged sexually. You've been going at it. You've been doing your thing. And now you're just noticing this huge inconsistency with it. And it's not being backed up by a very valid explanation. It's just these excuses. I'm tired. I'm busy. I'm this, I'm that. All these different things. Things that you typically hear about in marriage with a lot of men or what they're experiencing. If you're already experiencing that before the marriage, but she wants to get married, there's a problem there. All right. Now, there's various possible scenarios. One that I think as men, it might be a hard pill to swallow, but we have to humble ourselves and be open to this. Sometimes there's an actual sexual disconnect, meaning it's not as satisfying as you want to believe it is. All right. That's not shade to you. That's not to make you feel bad. The reality is that, listen, there's a lot more that goes into making sure the woman is sexually satisfied. So it is common for there to be a disconnect in that area. The problem is if we don't show a willingness to hear her out and to receive constructive criticism, then there's going to be no opportunity to improve the situation. So you have to be willing. If you're already seeing the inconsistency, don't address it by simply making her out to be the bad guy and she's crazy or she's this. No, go into it saying, okay, is there something that I'm overlooking that I can be better at, that maybe I need to improve upon? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. That's what the deal is. And then if you make those corrections and things get back to being consistent, boom, problem solved. But if she's offering you up more excuses, or she tells you something, you do it, and it's still not correcting the issue, then we can go to the next assumption. The next thing might be that she's just not truly into you enough. And because she's not really into you, she does not want to be as sexually available to you. And so it's inconsistent because she's trying to throw you crumbs to be happy with and to keep you at bay because she's not trying to lose you. Because again, her goal is to get married. So she has to find a way to get to the finish line. So she'll throw you some booty here and there, right? But she can't bring herself to be consistent with it. That's a problem. And the other reason why this is such a huge problem is because if it's already inconsistent before you get married, you better believe it's falling dead off a cliff after you get married. All right. It doesn't just magically get better. So it goes back to having to correct the issues before you take that next step, and having to be willing enough to say to her, hey, listen, if we want marriage, then we need to figure out why there's this inconsistency here. What's the disconnect here? If we can fix it, great. But if we can't, let's not fool ourselves and think we can just push this along and things will eventually get better. It doesn't work that way. So sexual inconsistency is definitely an issue you have to look deeper into and be mindful of before you take any next step with this woman. All right, so now let's keep this going. So the fourth thing that shows you that she doesn't want you, she just wants to be married, is when she doesn't give you the respect you deserve. So plain and simple, if this woman is already consistently disrespecting you while in the relationship. And again, some of you might think, well, if she's disrespecting the man consistently, why would she even continue being with him? Well, that's the whole power of wanting to be married, or in some cases wanting to have a baby, or just, there could be deeper issues at play. Some women's constant disrespect of the man is not really about the man. It's about her deeper insecurities. And what happens is she's trying to knock you down constantly to make herself feel better, to make herself feel like she has more value here. Because if she were to respect you, praise you, uplift you, and she feels inadequate for whatever reason, maybe due to past traumas, maybe she's not where she wants to be in life, whatever the case may be, well, that becomes a stronger reality that she has to face when she's uplifting you and she feels like she doesn't measure up. So a tactic, not saying it's a direct conscious tactic, but I would argue it's more subconscious, is that, okay, I'm going to nitpick you. I'm going to keep finding ways to devalue you so that I can feel more valued in this relationship. It's unhealthy. It's unfortunate, but it happens a lot. And so that woman will engage in that behavior, even though she has no intentions right now of trying to leave you. All right. But as a man, you have to be mindful of that. And if she is not showing you the respect that you deserve, then again, we got to be prepared to walk away. But I got to say, because as men, we got to hold ourselves accountable always, is listen, ask yourself, am I giving her something to respect? Like real talk, we can't just say, oh, well, because we're a man, respect us. Like, I think we should be respecting people in general until they give us reasons to not. And if they give us reasons to not respect them, we should just not deal with them at all. We don't need to engage in disrespectful behavior. You know what I'm saying? That's just pointless. It serves no good. But as a man in a relationship, like, you got to be real with yourself. Have I shown up the way I need to show up? Am I doing my part? And if you feel like you don't know how to properly evaluate that, that's why it's good to get a third party. That's why it's good to seek assistance and go to a coach or a therapist so they can give you some outside perspective and say, okay, nah, you know what? You are doing great. You are being the man you need to be, but this woman is ungrateful, or this woman has deeper issues, or this woman just isn't for you. Or on the flip side, that person can show you, listen, man, I know you feel like you've been doing great, but here's some areas that you're clearly falling short and not showing up the way that you need to show up. Let's correct those things, all right? And now we have a stronger ground to stand on to demand respect, all right? Now, it doesn't mean just tolerate disrespect just because you're not where you're supposed to be, but it is something to consider when you're trying to evaluate if this is just an ungrateful, disrespectful woman, or have you contributed to the environment that creates this dynamic with this woman? All right, and the last point I'm going to make on how you know this woman doesn't want you, she just wants to be married, is when she's more focused on the wedding rather than the future with you. Now, this one might be a little controversial for some folks because the reality is that there's a lot of women out there who they have fantasized about their wedding day since they were a little girl, all right? And they have all kinds of plans and they just all these ideas that they want to see come into fruition, right? And it blinds them to the point where you'll have a scenario where a man says, listen, I don't think we should put all this money into the wedding. We don't even have a house yet. Let's scale down the wedding and let's use that money for a house. And that woman may push back and be like, no, like, why do we need to do that? This is important. This is one day. I want to make this special. I don't want to leave this person out or not have this certain thing at the wedding. And she will fight you on it. And I've seen a lot of men, I would argue most men, give in to what the woman wanted for the wedding, even at the sacrifice of the future. Now, I don't want to rule out the possibility that she is just that obsessed with her wedding day that it's not evidence of she's not really into you. It's just she's so caught up with what she wanted and what she dreamed about. However, in the scenarios that I've personally seen where women will make it more about the wedding than setting up a great future with you, whether it be house, whether it be savings, whether it be whatever the case it may be, it typically has been a woman who was more into being married than being with that specific man. It has typically almost always been a relationship that is not looking great after they got married. All right. Where disconnects existed, because you got to understand that, again, a woman who's really in love with you, really happy with you, really about being with you specifically, is much more accommodating, is much more willing to compromise and adjust some things, because what she values more than anything is being with you. And when she is willing to cause conflict, frustration, stress on you because she is more focused on what she wants, well, that is a strong warning sign of what else is to come. And if she cannot at least try to find a compromise for on her wedding day to make sure you are both happy, what makes you think she will compromise with you after you're married? What makes you think she's going to be flexible after the fact? Yes, it's very easy to think, oh, well, it's just because it's her wedding day that she's acting like that. And in some cases, yeah. But in most cases, it's a symptom of she just cares about how she feels and doesn't give a damn about how you feel. And I will say what will make you have greater evidence or be more certain that that's what's going on is typically that behavior will show itself not just in that one specific scenario. So basically, if she really is like that, then chances are she has shown you selfish behavior in various other moments many times in the relationship. It probably just didn't show up. So if this woman has been nothing but accommodating, compromising, flexible with you throughout the entire relationship, but this is the one time, the wedding, that she is now trying to hold strong to what she wants, I'd be much more willing to give her a pass and say, okay, you know what? She hasn't acted like this before. This must be very important to her. Cool. But if she has acted like that many times before, and now she's just making it a bigger fuss because it's the wedding, well, it just shows you this is a consistent behavior of hers that isn't likely to change. And it is showing you that, yes, she is more focused on marriage rather than on being with you, the man. And that's not a relationship you want to be in. So you as a man have to be willing to address it. And if it cannot be corrected, let her go. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. These women have lost their damn mind. At least that's what it feels like sometimes. That's what it may feel like to you when you're dealing with a woman and she's being overly emotional or just having an emotional moment and you're just not really